everyone, and welcome to a book haul. Yes, the best thing in the world. And this is my October book haul, part 1, yeah. And I have a bunch of books to share with you. So let me talk a little bit about how this is going to go. First of all, I know a lot of you like to call this your September book haul because you got all the books in September, as did I. But this is also my TBR for October. And I feel like I am going to be putting this out for October, and these are the books I'm going to be reading for October. So I'm calling it my October book haul, and yeah. Also, this is part 1 of part 2 because, well, I got tons of books this last month and I didn't want to try to cram them all into one video. So let's get started with this book haul, and I will tell you where I got the book, because in this book haul I got these books from a couple different places. All these books I got physically in person at a bookstore, and my other book haul will be all books from Amazon minus one book which is from a bookstore. Yes. So first of all, I went to Seattle at the very beginning of this month, and one of the bookstores that I went to was a half-price bookstore, which we don't have here where I live, so I took that opportunity to buy a couple of books. The first of which is Days of Blood and Starlight by Laini Taylor, and this is the second book after Daughter of Smoke and Bone, which I've read. I realized that I think I only have it in Kindle form. I realized that this is also the British, I think UK British version, but it was super cheap and it's in great condition for the most part, and I actually really like the cover, even though I also like the other covers. So yeah, and this book is, well, the first book is about angels and a girl whose hair changes color, and she's pretty awesome, and she likes to do art, and monsters when they're not really monsters, and just an epic war, and it's YA, and it's really good, and I'm looking forward to reading this book. Next we have Numbers by Rachel Ward, and I was caught by the look of this book and also the fact that it's about numbers. I love books about numbers. Something else I want to show you is, you might or might not be able to see that, maybe you can see it now, but this book has like an imprint of numbers all over it. It is beautiful, and you see the side, it's just a really gorgeous book. Now on the front, this is a used book also, as is the first book. There's a little tear. It was actually covered up by the price sticker, but the book was really cheap, so I'm willing to put up with it. This book has a ton of great reviews on it on the actual book cover, and it is about a girl who, when she looks at someone else's face, she can tell when they're going to die, and so she basically avoids all relationships until she meets this one boy, and they kind of go on a journey together, and even though she knows he doesn't have very long to live, at least that's what I gathered from the synopsis, she goes on an adventure with him, and it's supposed to be really good, so I am very excited to check this out because I've never heard of it before. After that, we have one of the few adult books I got this month, and that is The Invisible Ones by Steph Penny. That's a really interesting first name. This book, I believe, is supposed to be kind of a mystery detective psychological thriller book. It is about a detective who is a part gypsy, I believe, and before he was injured in an accident of some sort. He was hired in order to find a gypsy woman. I think this is in modern times. I don't think it's in the past. And anyways, he deals with her family and kind of community and the problems with them, but he's trying to find her, and it's about that. It has amazing recommendations from People, Entertainment Weekly, Kirkus Reviews. They all loved it, so I love this sort of book, and I cannot wait to check it out. I found this one actually at a random used bookstore in Seattle that's across from a hot chocolate place, and I went there with my friends, and I wanted to get a book, and this is the one I came out with. This book, Torn, by Amanda Hocking, is the second book. The first book is Changeling. It is a trilogy. The first book is about a girl who is a changeling who she doesn't realize that she is, and then she finds out that she was switched, and when she was a child, her mom tried to murder her. Not her real mom, but the mom that has her when she's a changeling. And so she's actually got some family, and it's a really interesting story. I enjoyed it. It's not super, doesn't have great depth to it, but it's a really fun read, so I got the second book, and this is also from the Half Price bookstore. Next, I went to, well, actually, first I went to the University of Washington bookstore, and if you are in Seattle and anywhere near the University District, I totally recommend you go there. They have a huge selection of books, tons of recommendation, good deals, and their YA section is like 6 or 7 like smaller bookshelves of it, but there are so many books that I was just amazed. Books I hadn't heard of, and I was so excited, and this one was one of them that was recommended, and that is The Lost Code, the first book of the Atlantean series by Kevin Emerson, and this is a book that is set in the future, and basically it's like 70 or so years in the future, and the world has been flooded and everything is under the ocean, and these two go to a camp that's supposed to be really like what the world used to be like beforehand, so it's in a dome and it has trees and a lake and all that such, and the main character is the guy, and it turns out he gets some markings on his neck, and the lifeguard, who I think is the girl, tells him something's going on, and so he tries to figure it out, and there's a huge mystery, and he has to escape from the camp alive, and this is the first book, and I like things that have to do with kind of like Atlantis, even though this isn't like the historical sense of the Atlantis, but it looks interesting, and this is a new book, and I was excited to pick it up. After that, I went to my local Goodwill, and the parking lot was horrible to park in, so I had to come out with a book. And the book that I found, which I've actually never read, is Eragon by Christopher Paolini. I wanted to say Panini. I really wanted to say Panini. Anyways, this series is, of course, a children's book about a boy. Well, it's also YA, about a boy who finds an egg, and he thinks it's food, and he's a really poor farmer, but it turns out it's a dragon, and he has a sword later on, and it takes him on a quest, and it's a series, and it's supposed to be really good. I'm excited to check it out at some point because I have not read this series, so yeah. The final 2 books that I got for part 1 were from a local used/new bookstore that I've only been to once before, and they have a huge adult science fiction fantasy section. They also have a YA section, but the biggest portion is the science fiction fantasy, and these 2 books are new. I actually went there for the first book and then saw the second book and read reviews on it that were super great, and so I also got that book. They're both mass market. I know, I like my book to be bigger too, but a lot of adult science fiction fantasy, that's the way you're going to get it. So the first one is called Rosemary and Rue by Seanan McGuire. I think that's how you pronounce that. And this is about a woman who is a changeling, and by that I mean she's half fae, half human. And in this, it's modern society. And in this version of the modern world, the changelings are looked down upon by the fae, and so a lot of them try to make themselves look good to them. She just doesn't care, and she doesn't want to have anything to do with the fae. But then it turns out a countess is murdered, and she is needed to solve the murder, and so she is pulled back into the world of the fae, and this got really good reviews on, this whole series got really good reviews on Amazon, and so I wanted to check it out. I've been just having this craving for adult fantasy / science fiction, and that book is new. And the second book, which is also new, is called The Mistborn Witches by Barb Hendy. This got amazing reviews on Amazon. It is about 2 sisters who are witches. I'm not sure if they are actually witches, but they do like herb stuff, and they are very poor, and they pretend to tell people's fortunes and stuff like that. But then they have to run away from the area in which they're living because the prince there, or lord, or whoever is after them. So they go under the help of another prince / lord, but they can only stay there for so long, and then he offers them to let them stay for a long time and protect them if they solve the murder of these beautiful girls that are dying in the village. So that's what that is about. I usually don't read books about sisters, but this is supposed to be really good, so I picked it up. So these are the first part of my book haul. Yeah, I know, a lot of books, but I am crazy excited to read all of them. I like to have a big variety of books, and that is why I chose all these books. I never just pick up a book to buy it. I really have a reason, and I I can't wait to read them. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please let me know if you think I should read a certain book first, or if you've read a book, tell me whether you liked it or not. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will bring part 2 very soon. Lots of hardbacks, all from Amazon, except for one. Should be awesome. Bye, guys!